Noah Wiley always writes literally the best episodes of The Librarians? Hey guys, what's up? It's Julie the Bibliophile. I'm back if you just saw me in my review of And the Christmas Thief. If not, you can check out the link in the description or at the end of this video. And I'm here to talk about Season 4, Episode 4, and The Steal of Fortune. As I said in my review for Christmas Thief, I'm really sorry these videos are a week late and are probably being viewed by you after episodes 5 and 6 premiered. I was really busy with the holidays, and so now I have a little bit of time to squeeze in these reviews. I'm still going, I'm still busy, but I'm squeezing in these reviews for you guys because I really wanted to talk to them and I had nothing else to do. I also am making separate videos for the doubled up episodes because I think they're all so great that they each deserve their own amount of time to talk about. And also, when I tried to do episodes 1 and 2 in one video, I talked about Nicole for a half an hour and then glazed over Steal of Fortune in 5 minutes. So, I kind of don't want to let that happen, especially next week when Nicole is coming back again. We can't deal with that, so we're going to do separate videos. But now I am here with my lucky ship bears, Evie and Jess, to talk about And the Silver Screen, which is possibly my new favorite episode of The Librarians. And I think Evie and Jess both did their jobs in making this a wonderful episode for both Evelyn and Cassandra. Oh my god. I watched this episode like 3 times already. I watched it 3 times in like the first 2 days that it was out. And if I had had more time lately, I would have watched it again. And I'll probably watch it again tonight because it's literally that good. And maybe tomorrow before I watch episode 5. You know what? I just love Silver Screen that much right now. And I never thought that any episode would pass Apple of Discord as my favorite episode. There have been a couple of times where when I first watched the episode, I said it's my new favorite episode, and then I realized after the fact that Apple of Discord is still my favorite, that being Image of Image, and Happily Ever Afters, and Trial of a Triangle. And I don't know how I feel about Silver Screen yet, but when I first watched it, I said it's my new favorite episode. So we're gonna see what happens after Season 4 is over and I have some time, how I feel about Silver Screen versus Apple of Discord. But Silver Screen, top notch, where it's at. It's just what I was expecting because we have another amazing episode written by Noah Wiley and directed by Jonathan Frakes, which is exactly what happened for Trial of a Triangle, which is my second favorite episode of the entire series, and it's probably the most brilliant thing I've ever seen on television. Silver Screen was just fun. And it was a classic Librarians episode, reminded me what I love about the show, and it was just classic. Classic! It's got the goofiness, it's got the romance, it's got the magic, it's got the intellectual nerdy references, it's got the mystery that you don't figure out until the last second. I loved it, I loved it, I loved it, and you know I love an episode a lot when I can't even get any single details out because I'm just screaming about how much I love it. So I was excited about this episode from the get-go, not only for what it was about, you know, getting sucked into the movies and going through these movies. I was excited because we were going to see Eve and Flynn go on a date for the first time in the show. They're going on a date outside of the mission, and we're going to see it. They're going on a casual date like normal people who love each other and are engaged, and I'm just living in it. I'm living in it, and it's brilliant. And then, like 2 days before the episode premiered, we got a video from, like, the Librarians Brazil, or the Librarians Spain, sorry, of Jake singing, and, like, Jake, and Cassandra swooning over it in cowboy outfits. And then, oh man, guys, I can't even fathom how much I love this episode. Props to Noah Wiley, props to Jonathan Frakes, props to everyone involved for such an amazing episode. I loved it. So the episode starts, and Eve and Flynn are on a date. And when I first saw it, I was just kind of screaming about the fact that that was happening. When I rewatched the episode, downloaded on my laptop screen, I was able to see the little details of what was happening on this date, and let me tell you, it was adorable. First of all, we start, and, like, we're 3 seconds in, and Flynn is just, like, holding Eve's hand and swinging their arms between them as he drags her toward the ticket booth, like sugary, sweet, rom-com, teenager couple stuff right there. And right off the bat, we also get some backstory from Eve. Oh, I've wanted Eve backstory for so long. And it was a little piece of backstory, but it was a glimpse into her past, which is cool for me. And we find out that Eve loves old movies, and that she used to watch the old movie with her grandma every night at 9 o'clock. And I just, like, I love that idea of, like, we get a glimpse at Eve's family. We know literally nothing. Literally nothing. And we find out that she watches old movies with her grandma. That's so sweet. And that gives us a hint that Eve probably had a loving family situation, too. Like Ezekiel, we found out in Christmas Thief. And that makes me so happy. I also love, like, seeing in this episode for Eve, seeing Eve be a total nerd in this episode made me very, very happy, because in the past few months as I've fallen in love with Eve and Evelyn more, and made my focus that when I look at the show, I've discovered that, like, you know, I talk a lot about Eve's character and how the tough girl that we saw in season 1 was kind of just her walls up. And what I did talk about when I first started noticing that for Eve is that she's a tough girl who also gets to, you know, be a little girly, swoon over her boyfriend, and she gets to have these stereotypically feminine parts to her that you wouldn't normally see in a tough female character. And then as I started to look at it more, I started to say, well, she has multiple layers to her, and we get to have both of those layers. And, like, as the series has gone on, that girly layer to Eve has, like, grown more and more and more. And now as we've gotten to season 4, the tough soldier, walls up Eve has almost completely melted away. I mean, it comes back sometimes when she's being a guardian, when it needs to, when she's protecting, like when she's facing Nicole, and she's not taking any shit. Eve, when she's just hanging out with her family, or she's just with Flynn, is goofy, she's happy, she's a nerd. And what started to become clear to me as I looked at Eve, and became clear even more than ever in this episode, is that Eve is a lot like Flynn. You would think that Eve and Flynn would be an opposites attract kind of couple, but really they're not. Eve maybe is not as smart as Flynn, doesn't have that same high level of intelligence, but that passion for everything he loves that Flynn has, that craziness, nerdiness, quirkiness, that's Eve. Eve is that in a more subdued way, and Eve has that in her, and that's probably why she loves Flynn so much, because he's that reflection of her, and that's probably why they work so well, and I love it. And we definitely got to see that in Silver Screen, with Eve freaking out the most we've seen her freak out ever over anything. We've seen Eve get passionate about the things she loves in episodes past. In an extended scene of the first episode, we find out that Eve knows a lot about, like, biblical knowledge. She knows right off the bat what gospel it is that Flynn's reading from, when Flynn can't even figure it out. She recognizes the lines from the Scottish play immediately and talks about how she performed as Lady M in Shakespeare's Scottish play. And also, like, you know, in Final Curtain, we see her know a lot about Shakespeare. So Eve does know a lot of nerdy stuff, and now she knows everything there is to know about black and white movies, about film noir movies, particularly about these 5 movies written by James Desmond Wheeler. And one of the things I loved about it was, like, Flynn watching her nerd out over these movies. He was, like, so happy. He was smirking, and at first he, like, couldn't believe it, but then he was, like, he was making that face that I don't even know how to describe, like, oh, look, you're doing it too, and, like, is she really doing this? And this is my girl. And, like, oh, God, it was so cute. We also had Eve call Flynn my darling, and we got another pet name. I'm living with the amount of pet names from this season. So my other favorite thing about this date is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but, like, when Eve and Flynn were walking into the row of the movie seats, they didn't stop holding hands. Like, who does that? They were trying to shimmy into this narrow row, and she's still holding his hand. Like, God, they're so cute. I called season 2 the honeymoon stage of Eve and Flynn when we first saw them before they started fighting, but, like, this is honeymoon stage number 2. Jeez. Like, they won't let go of each other. They won't let go of each other, and I'm not complaining. Maybe the rest of the world is, but hey, this shipper is very, very, very happy with that. And then, like, you know, Eve is reciting the movie as it's going, and I love it. I love, again, to see that nerdy, quirky side of Eve, because that's how I watch movies and TV shows. That's how I watch The Librarians, and I scare people. I just sit there, like, scenes that mean absolutely nothing, have no feels behind them. I have no reason to be reciting them, but do I? Yeah, I do. So then Eve and Flynn get sucked into the movie. And again, I'm not going to go plot point by plot point because that's just going to get too long. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh my God. We had, before Eve and Flynn went into the theater, We had an acknowledgement of the end scene of season 3, episode 10, which is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. It is a really important scene to me when Eve says to Flynn, like, you know, I'm not okay with the things you do that are, like, you know, like that when you mess up, but, like, I love you for who you are. And we had a return of that, and Flynn kind of says, like, you know, I don't really know how to let go of my intellect and just give you a normal day. And she says, I'm trying, my dear. You're trying, and that's all I ask. And that's exactly what she says at the end of 3:10. And the consistency, I can't. And it's a line that's so important to me, and I just love it. I love it. And that's when she calls him my darling. Eve Baird loves Flynn Carson with every ounce of her soul. Pass it on. So they get sucked into the movie, and they figure out that they have to act out this movie plot, and get it to end exactly as the movie ends, which I thought was a really interesting plot. But there's so much fun that comes out of that. So, you know, Eve trying to dig the bullet out of Flynn's arm, and, like, he's just... God. He, like, won't cooperate, and Eve knows the exact lines to tell them to say. And then, you know, then Eve says that this lady is gonna come by and ask Flynn to come to her bungalow. And he's like, do I go to the bungalow? And then he looks at Eve's face for a second and he's like, no, I wouldn't go to the bungalow. And it's so funny. Flynn's like, ooh, do I go to the bungalow? What? No, never mind. I didn't say that. And they're so married. Then, of course, when they go to the bar to give aliases, oh my God, I love that scene so much. For so many reasons. First of all, Lady Gaga Van Damme. Only the Librarians would something like that happen. Lady Gaga Van Damme and Dr. Julius Erving. So if you see Tony the Shaz, tell him Lady Gaga and Dr. J are at the bar. But the best thing about this is he calls her his fiancée. And, like, I know they were undercover. I know it was for undercover aliases, but he stuttered when he tried to think of the name. He didn't stutter on fiancé. And he hadn't seen the movie yet. He hadn't seen that part of the movie. He didn't know what the relationship of Kitty Dupree and Mac Doyle was. He didn't know what the relationship of the aliases that they gave was. He just had to come up with something, and fiancé rolled right off the tongue. Between that and the Nightmare Wedding Planner line, I just got lipstick on my bear. Between that and the Nightmare Wedding Planner line, even Flynn totally consider themselves engaged right now, and it makes me so happy. Oh my God. I also loved, like, when Flynn said he was gonna go get beat up, Eve told him he had to go get beat up to advance the plot, and he just, like, drinks down the martini before they take him, and Eve's just trying to give him the martini. Oh my God. Eve's trying to give him her martini too to down, and it was just like, again, it was just quirky Eve. It was like this full, the quirkiness of Eve was full out, which we've never ever seen, and I loved it. She's just like, you won, okay, because they're so married. They're so married. I can't believe we got to see a whole episode of casual Eve and Flynn. I can't believe we got that. It makes me so happy. And of course, I would be amiss if I were not to talk about that scene. Holy crap. I wasn't expecting it, and that was another thing that I was screaming so much the first time. I had to watch it a second time to hear everything that was said and realize how freaking brilliant it was. So I love how, like, Eve is acting out this show exactly. So Flynn is fighting them, and she's acting like Kitty Dupree, just going, and I love, she's such a dork. And of course, now it finishes, and Flynn's like, well, what happens next? And she's like, well, why don't you step over here and find out? And Flynn's face, God, she's like, I see we've reached the love scene. I'd say you earned it. I was never expecting this. I thought the mountaintop scene in season 3 was gonna be the best, but no, oh no, we went so much further with this scene, so much further than I ever expected to go. Family, show my ass. The urgency with which they're ripping each other's clothes off. Eve is, like, going so fast, like, Flynn rips his jacket off, and Eve's going for the buttons, and he's going for the suspenders, and again, they can't take their hands off each other. It's like, just be patient. Just, like, slow down for 5 seconds, but no. And now we know what it looks like when these two go at it, which I'm pretty sure they do all the time, which is just amazing. The dialogue that is happening. The dialogue that is happening. Only Evelyn, only the librarians. Like, oh my god. We have what? He's like, you know, Eve, you missed your era. With this hair and this lighting and these clothes, you're the cat's pajamas. And she's like, oh god, what did she say? I confess I've had this fantasy. Like, Eve, no! Oh my god. And then they just, like, jump on the bed. They jump on the bed and, like, the only trouble is the fade out. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, and I love it. And they solve the movie, and then they realize they're back at the beginning of the movie. We get a second kiss, blah, blah, blah. So I want to go on to talk about what the Lits are doing during this, because holy crap! I was not expecting that much Cassandra. They're cowboys, which I just loved seeing, like, little Annie Oakley-style Cassie, and I loved hearing Christian sing. Like, Christian singing, oh my gosh. It sounded so good. Like it always does. And of course, like, he starts singing and Cassie just starts swooning. She's like, and Ezekiel is like, what the hell is going on? And I'm very much appreciating this Ezekiel being very annoyed at Jake and Cassandra, if that's the mood for season 4, because, like, I appreciate that. And then, of course, my favorite scene with the cow people was they're walking through the forest, just walk, and, like, all of a sudden, like, it's not even that they're falling into their roles, because I don't even know what happened, because they're not falling into their roles, because they've never seen this movie before, and according to what happened to even Flynn, part of the spell is not forgetting who you are and starting to act like your character. That's not a thing that happens, so I don't know what the hell Jake and Cassandra were doing, because even if, you know, Texas Mangrove and Lacey McAllister had a romantic subplot in the movie, they wouldn't know that, because they both say neither one of them has seen Chaps and Chaps, and yet they're both flirting with each other. Like, and then, okay, so they're walking, and Ezekiel's complaining that he wants to play cowboy in a town, and Cassie's just like, oh, hang on, Dandy Dan. I feel safe here. And Jake says, and I quote, I hear what you're saying, Cassie. Yes, ma'am, a man could lay down some roots here. What the hell is that? And the smile's on her face. What are they doing? I just want to know why every time we go into an alternate universe, Jake and Cassandra are acting married. Every time! With the frickin' happily ever afters. And now this. Like, and again, Ezekiel's kind of just like, what the hell are you two doing? And then they go to the Alien movie, which Cassandra has seen, and Cassandra is into it as Eve got about the film noir movie, and it's just, oh my god. Everything about it was perfect. Mention the actual mystery. I remember when Eleanor showed up at the movie theater the first time, when Jenkins my best friend and I were like, she's behind it! And then Jenkins was talking about how, JD, what the hell was his name? Yeah, so that guy, that he had a wife and a daughter. And my best friend and I were saying that, oh my god, the old lady outside the theater is the wife, and the lady who runs the theater is the daughter, and they're behind it. And then Jenkins said she was the daughter, and we're like, we got it right. And then, like, she's talking about the divorce, so we're like, okay, it's not the mother. But then we're saying that the old lady is behind it. But then we figured out that's the ley line, and we said the old lady was her mother. And eventually we got it! So I felt really proud of myself that I was able to figure out that, the mystery, how that was gonna be solved. So, and then, of course, we get that really tender moment at the end with, Jill and Eleanor, and that's kind of a copy of the movie. And even Flynn, like, watching, oh god, that made me emotional too, I forgot about that, when even in the movie, when they brought Pearl back to her mother, and they were kind of just giving each other this look, and I'm like, oh my god, married, and they did the same thing when Jill and Eleanor reunited, and then they get out of the movie, and they're back together, and they're, oh. It was so great, guys. I also loved the acknowledgement, like, the whole plot about, like, ghostwriters. and how, like, the work of women, and the success of women was covered up a lot during that time. I think that was really, really cool and really, really important in this day and age to touch upon a plot like that. And even though they didn't mention it as, like, a conflict, as, like, a historical thing directly, I think it's really cool that they acknowledge that, and that was a really, like, cool plot. I liked it a lot. And again, like we had Ezekiel and his mother in The Christmas Thief, we have this parent-child story. There seems to be a big focus on this parent-child sort of thing, in season 4 of The Librarians, which I love because of their situations. We didn't get that a lot in this show. We got it a lot in Leverage, but we didn't get it so much in this show, and I like that we're getting that this season. And then, of course, the end, Eve and Flynn are, like, walking through the attics, and they're, like, joking about the date and how weird it was, and Flynn's like, oh, hey, why don't you say next time we stay home together and watch Hulu? And I'm like, oh, is that our hint that we live? Because I need acknowledgement that Eve and Flynn live together, and if that's the hint, I accept. But they're like, Flynn's like, oh, let's just stay home and watch Hulu, and then Eve's going on about how sexy Flynn was, and how sexy Mac Doyle was, and he just takes her and dips her, and like, damn, I wasn't expecting that kiss, but it saved my life, cleared my skin, and watered my crops, bruh. My OGP has 2 dip kisses, 2, and 4 in this one episode, 4 kisses. In this one episode, that's more than we got in season 3 in total. Honestly, that's more than we got in season 1 in total. That is more than we got. Is that more than we got in season 2 in total? Let me see. It's the same amount that we got in season 1 and season 3 combined. And it... Hold on, I'm trying to think of how many times they kissed in season 2. Okay, so season 2 does have, like, 5 or 6 kisses total, and this is counting kisses on the lips. So, but, in one episode, we got more kisses than we got in season 1 total. We got more kisses than we got in season 3 total, and we got more kisses, or the same amount of kisses that we got in season 1 and season 3 combined. And, like, so, A+. So that's the silver screen. I hope you enjoyed the silver screen as much as I did. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of the silver screen. If you liked this video, please remember to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. All links are in the description. I will see you in just a couple of days, hopefully to talk about our next 2 episodes, End the Bleeding Crown and End the Graves of Time. Bye, Lits! Mwah!